In this video I'm going to demonstrate how to connect a MIDI FX modulator to an audio channel in order to modulate an effect. At the moment the modulator is connected to the filter of Alchemy. How this is actually connected to Alchemy is from data byte 1 of the modulator, and that's connected to the mod wheel in the router. Adjust the intensity knob to increase the modulation on the filter. You see this is now moving. Next thing is to open Logic's environment to make the connections to the channels. The easiest way to work with the environment is actually bringing up a screen set. So what I'm going to do here is choose Screen Set 2 by selecting 2 on my keypad, and then open MIDI environment. Now I'm in Screen Set 2. The thing to do now is to close down the main window and then make the environment full screen. So as you can see here on the Alchemy channel, there is no actual modulator showing up here, even though it's still active in the background. It doesn't actually show up in the environment. First of all, we're going to have to lose Alchemy and create an external instrument in order to send our MIDI data to the audio channel. Alchemy was just a demonstration to show how the modulator can connect to a synthesizer. Here I'm choosing a mono version of external instrument. It doesn't matter if you choose stereo or mono. So the idea is to send MIDI out of the external instrument and connect by cable to the audio channel in order to affect something, for instance, like a cutoff filter. Whenever you move any parameter in Logic, it's actually generating a type of MIDI data, whether that be control data, fader data, etc. So the first thing to do now is to set up the MIDI destination, and what I'll be using here now is the IAC bus, which is the internal MIDI port in the Mac. At the moment it's not visible as it needs to be activated in the audio MIDI setup. Select IAC driver here. Tick devices online, and then Logic will immediately recognize the MIDI port. Once that's done, we can close down the audio MIDI setup and then go back into the external instrument and set up our IAC driver bus 1. So in order to see what these devices generate as MIDI, we're going to need to set up a thing called a monitor object in the environment. First I'm going to select MIDI channel 1 in the MIDI channel list in the external instrument. Go to New and choose a monitor. So this monitor will show us the MIDI data that's being generated from the modulator. So I'm using a cable to connect to the monitor. As you can see, I now have my MIDI channel 1 data byte 1, which is the modulation wheel. So the next thing now is to make the environment a little bit easier to work with because it can be customized. So I'm going to drag the instrument channel over here like this and the monitor over like this, and then take the 70s electric piano and stick that over here like this. So the next thing is now to add a plug-in to the audio channel, and I'm going to choose auto filter. What I want to do now is modulate the cutoff filter with the modulator to give an effect similar to this. So that's the type of effect I want. So the next thing here now is to just move the auto filter down a little bit, and I'm going to again choose another monitor and then connect that to the channel here, and then we can just move the parameter and see what actually is being generated by this particular cutoff. And you can see that it's generating fader information F2, so MIDI channel 2, data byte 2. So the next thing to do now is transform this MIDI data into this MIDI data here so we can get the cutoff filter to start moving. And how I'm going to do this is with a MIDI object called a transformer. So the idea of the transformer is to transform this MIDI data into this MIDI data, and as you can see we've got control data, MIDI channel 1, data byte 1, fader data, channel 2, data byte 2. So to load up a transformer, we go to the new menu and choose transformer. Just need to scroll across to find it, place it just here, double click on it to open. So what the status is the type of MIDI information that's being generated, whether it be control, fader, program change, etc. The modulator generates control data. I want to transform this into fader data. So the first thing to do here is to select status equal to control will be fixed to fader. MIDI channel 1 will be transformed to MIDI channel 2. On channel on the transformer, select equal to 1, fixed to 2. And the same with the data byte 1 needs to be transformed to data byte 2. So we go here, all equal to 1 will be fixed to 2. Next thing now is to make the connection, so I'm just going to come out of the monitor into the transformer, out of the transformer, into the channel. And as you can see on the second monitor now we have our transformed MIDI channel 2 data byte 2. We've made the connection and now the filter is moving in time with the modulator. Now back to screen set 1, where I'm going to now select another modulator in the list and modulate some bus sends. At the moment they're both generating the same output, which is the mod wheel, so we're going to need to change the data byte setting in the second modulator in order to give us separate MIDI output. So in this situation I'm going to choose data byte 3. Once I've done that, I'm going to bypass the first modulator so I can only hear what's happening with the second one for the moment before I bring the other one back in later. I'm going to slow this modulator down so it's modulating over every 4 bars. Then back to the environment now to make our connections. Right, back over to screen set 2. And what I'm going to do here now is I'm going to set up some bus sends and modulate those with the second modulator. What's showing in the monitor at the moment is the MIDI data from the second modulator. Next thing to do here now is create a new bus send on the audio channel. So I'm going to bus 2, and then I'm going to drag the auxiliary channel over to here and add a space designer. Bus 1 is already being used by me to do the video voiceover. Next thing to do now is to create a new transformer and transform that data. So first of all I'm going to bypass the external instrument plugin and we can have a look and see what data is being generated by this bus send, which is fader 1 29. So next thing now is to create a new transformer and transform the data the same way as we did before. So I need to find my transformer, drag it over here. Next thing is to make the connections. So I come out of the channel again, next one, and connect that to the transformer. And then take that output and connect it to the channel. Next, open the transformer. And now to set up the transform. So I'm transforming from MIDI channel 1 to data byte 3 and fader 1 to data byte 29. So over to status, status equals control, fix to fader. Then under channel, channel 1 fix to 1, and then data byte 3 fix to 29. And now if I close this transformer down and turn back on the MIDI, we should now be seeing bus 2 moving. I now have this reverb effect fading in and out. Next, back to screen set 1, where I'm going to bring back the other modulator online. Now to play back and see if it's all working. So the next thing I want to do now is I want to set up another bus send and add a delay to that. So what I'm going to do here now is go to bus 3. Our aux channel is created over here, and I'm now going to choose a tape delay. Add some feedback. So the next thing now is to take another connection to a new transformer. So we go to New, Transformer, drag it over, put your mouse on the cable, drag a new cable out and connect the cable to the channel. So now bypass the external instrument to see what's happening on bus 3. It's generating fader 1, data byte 30. So I'm now going to open up the transformer and transform the MIDI data. So same as before, status equal to control, fixed to fader. Channel 1 equal to 1. And next is data byte 3 fixed to 30. So when I play back, the delay bus send will also be moving along with the bus 2 reverb send. So to make the effect more interesting, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the bus send on the reverb rise as the bus send on the delay falls. So how I'm going to do that is by using data byte 2. So what I'm going to do here now is choose data byte less than, then set the value to 127, which is the maximum value in MIDI. So what's going to happen is it's going to, when I set the reverse, go from 127 down to 0. You see what happens now is the bus 3 reverses and the other one rises. So now we play back again. One thing to be aware of is that the external instrument channel in the main window needs to be in record ready at all times in order for this to work.